Good morning. Now, there's 2, 4, 6, 8 eggs you can see, but I assure you there's a dozen in that pack, and they are all marked to be able to throw at a politician if you wish. And the only other time that I know that they're useful is in the boat race, the raft race from Lewis to New Haven, and in the summer. So you've got plenty of time to restock with eggs if you feel like tossing a few towards the politicians. Say what you like about Donald Trump, he really cuts through all the diplomatic hoo-ha and the protocol of international relations and the way that everybody is supposed to treat one another. And of course, the way that they all treat one another is, particularly our leaders, every leader in the Western world and some of the rest of the world as well, is they actually mouth platitudes and then go home and say, what an idiot that man is. And Trump just says it. and his fight with Macron is just fascinating. I mean, there's real mudslinging, if you like, and with a few others as well. And I read somewhere that and I think it's probably right, because I have quite a bit to do with Russia, and I like, individually, I like the Russians very much as a people. They're very interesting and generous people. They do have a particularly set way of thinking, which sometimes is difficult to break down. But nonetheless, as people, they are kindly and generous and very familial. But their leaders are the same as any other leaders. And I read, and I can quite believe, is that nothing disturbs Putin except being made fun of, being ridiculed. If he's ridiculed, he loses his cool. Now, with Trump and Macron having a go at one another, it seems to me that political leaders, and for that matter any politicians, can stand anything except being ridiculed. Now, I've often said, I'm not a bad talker as a journalist, but when I don't do the stupid things that some of interviewers do, is I keep my questions short and sharp and to the point, because if I get into a debate with a politician, I'll lose. The one thing that politicians are very, very good at is debating. They're natural talkers. They're not much good for anything else, but they are natural talkers, and so they'll twist you into knots if you try to debate them. So don't meet them on their own ground. But watching Macron and Trump and Putin and some of our own politicians now, is I've come to the conclusion that really being ridiculed is a great way to attack them. It's the only thing that really upsets them, and it doesn't matter which nationality they're from, is they get very twitchy if they're criticised and they're belittled. I mean, Macron was almost ready to send Trump to the guillotine because he said something about his ratings are only 4% or something of the sort. Oh boy, did that irritate Macron. So live and learn. If you want to get at a politician, belittle him, ridicule him, and you see what comes out of the pot. And in fact, that's what I've been doing with our local council, is ridiculing them, because it's the only attack that I think they understand. They are wonderful at getting below the parapet. I mean, they really are. I continue to get all sorts of silly things from Customer First. Customer First. Look at that. That's Customer First. Even they can't get interested. But anyway, I'm sure that I'm in the sights now of the local council, and I don't blame them. I ridicule them because I think they deserve to be ridiculed. But also, it's the only thing that they understand. They do not understand anything else at all. They're as thick as two short planks. I mean, they really are. The Customer First is just, it's just silly. I don't know who sold them that. I bet you they paid a small fortune for it. Whoever the advisor was should be sent to the gallows or to the guillotine or something. I mean, if you talk about amateurs, there they are. Anyway, the point really is that the local council really do try to ride roughshod over all of us with a lot of silly things, but not least of which is they look through various files and say, oh, I think that we can have a go at him. And as I say, I think I'm probably in the sights. I don't blame them. I'm in the sights of the local council because I've been giving them grief, not only on Mirador television, but also on privately, with my battles with them. I mean, it got as far as the court, if you recall, a little while back, and I'm happy to say that they backed down at the last minute. But nonetheless, I think it was because they realised that they would look silly in front of a magistrate, and that's the one thing that they are not prepared to do. So if you want to attack the local politicians, and actually I don't have much axe to grind with local politicians, it's their council. But then again, it is their council. I mean, they are supposed to be the policy guiders, and they should make sure their policies are carried out. Some rather nice people on our council, I think. But they don't seem to have much clout with the people who work it, the people behind the closed doors, the people who send out Customer First. The latest one is, how many people live in your house? Because we may have been undercharging you for the last 25 years. I don't know whether there's statute of limitations. But, every time I open up something from the council, I have to laugh. It's because actually what they don't do is they either don't look at the file or they don't keep a file. So they haven't a clue what's happened before. Let's just get out Form 61A or whatever, press a button, and away it goes. The thing is that when they press a button down at the council at the moment, it doesn't go out until 7 weeks later. That's their computer system. But anyway, the best way to attack politicians is to belittle them. And I suspect that goes for civil servants as well. So if I say that Donald Trump's hair looks as if he's wearing a wig, if that's what we call it, a hairpiece, I'm quite sure that the White House is going to come roaring back with some nasty comment about me, if not banning me from going to the United States for life or something like that. But they do tend to put their head in the sand. All politicians do. If we ban CNN from the White House press room, it doesn't matter what CNN says. We don't listen to it. We put our head in the sand, so we pay no attention. In fact, millions of others do. And it's a bit the same with us. I mean, I have been in several conversations socially with local politicians present, and Mirador television being the centre of conversation, because I have a great supporter in somebody who lives quite close to me. Well, in fact, I got a great supporter for several people who live quite close to me, and that's very gratifying. But if the name comes up, and I've actually been in separate places and heard conversations, oh, I never heard of them. Oh, well, that tells me that we're really getting to them. So let's keep on trying to get to them, because some of the silly things that they do, and they are in chaos. And every weekend I talk to my friend who works there. You want to call her or him a whistleblower, by all means do. But then we need whistleblowers because otherwise we wouldn't know what's going on inside. But the staff are leaving in droves. People are being asked to do 3 or 4 jobs. So, of course, the efficiency goes down. The systems, we know. Have you ever tried phoning anything? Try phoning anything? I'm lucky. I live a couple of 100 yards from the front door, so I just go down there. It takes an hour to find somebody behind those closed doors, but the people on the front desk are rather charming, and they try to be helpful. It's you couldn't make it up. I mean, yesterday I was talking to a lady from Ghana who is in charge of a department in her government, and she said she was brought in because she'd been in the private sector, and 1 or 2 politicians had started to worry that their department wasn't very efficient, and she said they might as well not bother because the resistance to trying to do anything efficiently was out of the question. And she tried to say it was culture until there were 9 other people in the room from 9 other different countries, including Switzerland and Oman and Malaya, and they all gave the same story. You don't try to make council efficient, for God's sake. You're climbing up something which will give you nightmares, give you ulcers. But anyway, I've really come to the conclusion, and it would be interesting for you to perhaps think about this, is how do you attack a politician who will talk you out of the room if you give him half the opportunity? And I think Putin has shown the way, picked up by Trump and emphasised by Macron, and I suppose we could name a half a dozen more here, and that is ridicule them. Ridicule them for the stupidity that they demonstrate regularly, and on the basis that confidence is lost and undermined. They don't seem to understand that anymore. They are so busy talking to themselves that they've forgotten why they're there. They really have forgotten why they're there. I mean, I could mention Anna Campbell for one. I mean, okay, it's a very, very small, tiny little splinter in the scheme of things, but it is important to a group of citizens. Anybody pay any attention? Not a bit of it. Not a bit of it. But if we got them in a room and we started to say, why don't you do this and why don't you do that, we come out probably say, we didn't get anywhere with our argument, and we wouldn't. Because they are very good at debating, very good at arguing. So, watch out for politicians if you engage them. But the best thing is, stand away a little and ridicule them. Then you'll start to see their true colours. That's the one thing they can't stand, and also the one thing that they don't have a defence against. They don't understand it, so therefore they can't defend it. That's the tip for the morning. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow morning when perhaps there's something more serious happening. But for the moment, I'm going to go and look at the morning paper and see who's laughing at Putin, who's laughing at Trump, and who's laughing at Macron, and who's laughing at any other politician who's being stupid enough to dangle their ignorance in front of us. Oh, I did enjoy that rant this morning. I really did. Oh, I think I could go and have now, with satisfaction, a couple of eggs on toast. They look very good. And then when I finished, I shall go and pick up my dozen eggs and ready to throw them somewhere. And undoubtedly, I'll find these chaps terribly amused by the whole thing. Till tomorrow, toodle pip.